Hey, welcome to.
Hey, hey, you guys.
All right, what's up, y'all? I'm Shane.
I'm Ryan.
We're the founders of Aviate Audio, music company in Buffalo, New York, and this is Beyond the Board. Today we're going to be talking about the origin story of Aviate Audio, how we started the company, and how all of this came to be. So come along for the ride. It's a lot. Okay, cool. First, I think we should just talk about how we met because that's a story in and of itself. Ryan and I met because we both went to the university at Buffalo, in Buffalo. We met pretty much on the first day, maybe even prior to the first day of like when the school session started. People were starting to move in, and I was on Facebook at the time, and Ryan was also, and he was out there making a group for musicians, for like the freshman class. And as soon as I saw it, I just kind of checked it out, and I kind of just connected with him on Facebook, and then ended up running into him later on, and we were like, "Yo, guitar?" And he was like, "Yeah, guitar."
Yeah, I forgot that.
Yeah.
Amusing. Yeah,
And
Facebook group. That was pretty funny.
yeah, credit. So that's how we met each other. But then fast forward 4 years to our senior year in the engineering. We were both in the electrical engineering program, also by coincidence.
And we were both on the same like living cohort by chance too.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
Yeah. So forces were at play, larger things greater than ourselves. And 4 years later, we do the senior design project for our engineering course.
It's like the final culmination of your
So
studies.
it's a big project, and you have the option to do something completely unique, like you can come up with your own project if you want.
Which is cool.
So I was definitely set on the idea of kind of doing something like unique or independent, and had some ideas for different guitar projects, of course. So then I let Ryan know, like, hey, let's make a team, and for the senior design project. And then Alex Schwartz, third co-founder of the company, ends up being on that senior design team, also from the engineering department, and two other team members who we still keep in touch with. And so we formed this little group and do our first ever kind of guitar project. It was really the first time we ever got into guitar electronics and tinkering with that type of stuff. We made this sweet pick guard that had all of the electronics built into it.
I remember you coming up to me and asking me, "Hey, could I take all the Is it possible if I could take all the electronics that you have in your guitar and just like print them on a circuit board with a flat pickup?" And I was like, it's possible. It'd be pretty hard, but we could probably do it."
So we had this idea of making like a pick guard that was a circuit board, and then from there we were looking at adding effects, like a processor in it. So that was sort of like the idea, and then from there we thought about what more can we do with like digital processing. Digital effects were starting to get really good at the time. Yeah. So I was thinking like, dang, if you could build your whole setup right into the guitar. Lots of crazy, wild ideas. We ended up building it and it worked out. We were able to get one effect going too. We had a distortion, which is basically just bit crushing.
Yeah.
And it sounded kind of nasty.
It was
in a good way.
Yeah, it was bad in a good way.
It was bad in a good way. Honestly, I loved it.
I felt like we had like a few versions of it too, like really weird bit crusher, and then like a different like boost thing. I don't know. I felt like we had like a couple things.
We took it and we called the whole thing Bit Crusher.
Yeah, it was
at the end of the episode, I might be able to go grab the actual thing and show it. Okay, but we got to go on for like how. Okay, so we start. That's really the origin of the company, because it's kind of like how our team got together and how we kind of got around this collective idea of like trying new things with music devices. And I feel like that theme is kind of held true to now as well, because we're still doing things that are sort of off the beaten path in this space and looking for interesting ways to contribute uniquely, to guitar and like audio technology in general. So we took the idea and ran with it. Ryan and I actually went on to continue with a master's degree at the MBA program. So I started getting into the idea of doing some business pitch competitions that we saw these opportunities that were available around our city and also at the school. So I kind of took the technology that we built in our senior design course and added more like business side to it and made a presentation. Ended up having some early success with that. And then Ryan and I really buckled down and started to think about like more seriously whether or not we could turn something like this into a business. Always been really passionate about the area. And so we did that, went on to compete more in some additional competitions. And then there was kind of like one moment towards the end of our program that sort of catalyzed like the rest.
So yeah, that moment was the Panache competition, and Shane was always steadfast that this wacky guitar project idea that we had would be like a successful business. We could make that like a real business, and that we could participate in the business plan competition and win against other companies at UB, which is like a big medical institution. So there's all kinds of like medical devices and like crazy
like some like deep technology.
deep
People are working on medical research.
really like
We
PhD
got-
people. And
What we had going for us, I think, was like our passion for guitar and for what we do.
yeah.
And we really we really pushed that advantage as hard as we could, made some great pitches, and ended up winning the big competition at our school. And so the prize really helped us. And then we ended up winning the statewide competition later on that month. So
First
within
UB team ever to win the state.
in New York, it's the New York State Business Plan competition. Shout out to the New York State Business Plan competition. Love you guys. Upstate Capital Foundation of New York, great people. So we kind of discovered this community, and people really supported us. So we kind of ran with it. And after graduation, we just dove into product development.
That's when the real
That's when the real
starts.
work started.
You're out of the school community of the safety net.
Yeah, you're out of the safety net of school and you're off and out into the real world. Why is Aviate Audio what we're still doing? We graduated in 2018. 3 years later, we're still doing this. That's the origin story. So everything that's come up to this point, has continued for a reason. And for me, it's really because I like what we're doing. I really love the products, and I think there's a long-term vision that I still really connect with. And it's still that same kind of vision that was at the beginning, which is like really taking advantage of technology in unique ways and furthering what's possible with musical tools. And I still think we're on a really good path to achieve that. So that's why I think that, Aviate Audio is a great company.
Yeah. For me, obviously, if you're doing music stuff, it's always fun, no matter, how much work and hours and, we're putting a ton of time into pushing this vision. And the vision really is just pushing the envelope, kind of doing stuff that hasn't been done or doing stuff in a different way and really taking advantage of new technology that we kind of find in communities that we don't feel is being used a lot in the music space or could be used in a new creative way, and just taking our experience as like guitar players and musicians, but also like engineers and people who are like technologists and really want to like take stuff that we've learned and try and do something new in the music space, something weird, something that's weird, I mean, Airpatch is definitely something that's, kind of not traditional in any way. It kind of takes elements of a traditional thing, but does it in a wild new way. But
you got to keep pushing the envelope, advancing things forward.
Because if you don't, you're just going to be in the same place for forever, and that's kind of, we want new things.
Yeah,
I want to try new things.
New things. Yeah, so beautifully said. I didn't want to go through this episode without giving them a chance to see this. A magnificent piece of history. It's in the archives, in the museum, on permanent
etched PCB.
And I had to get special permission to even touch this with my hands. But this is Bit Crusher. It's basically, it looks like a pick guard, and it's got, like we said, it's got all the electronics for your guitar built in. You can't fit a normal volume knob, so I use these sliders. I think this was like one of the coolest parts about it. other than the fact that we put a Teensy 3.2 on there, and that's what we actually hook up in here. Your guitar signal goes through this before it actually comes out, and power also comes in through here because it's a stereo instead of a single. It's very technical, very sophisticated. The knob worked; it turned the effect on and off.
We have jumper wires from where the PCB.
Right. Finally, this PCB was etched by, we drew the circuit pretty much with a Sharpie. So it was very sketch.
It's a miracle that
we had to do about 3 different times before the PCB worked. And miraculously, the live demo, the thing actually worked. And when I turned the knob, the distortion turned on. Oh yeah, the pickup's not here anymore, but there was the pickup right here. It was a flat pickup. I bought it on Etsy from someone who's pretty talented at making pickups. And man, it was a really cool project, but what we're doing now is way different. Though we still use Teensy, so it's relevant. But yeah, long live the Bit Crusher.
Yeah, a lot of elements of this have carried over in different ways, but this is where it all started.
Very ugly.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just a miracle that this thing worked.
Yeah.
But it worked great, and everyone loved it.
We'd love to fire it up again one day.
Yeah, we'll rebuild it.
Well, that's the origin story of the company, at least, as we recounted it today.
Yeah.
And
a small sliver of what has gone on in the last few years.
It really is. But, want to keep sharing this journey with you, and this is a beautiful start. So thanks for joining us. And stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you.